Hey everyone, welcome to the channel for another Escape from Tarkov video. In this one, I'm very happy to present an overview of the latest content patch, 12.4, that dropped the day this video was uploaded. To any of you coming here from the future, this might be old news, but this is an exciting update, adding new features, new mechanics, new items, and a long-awaited rework of the Interchange map. In this video, I'll be going over the patch notes for 12.4 and diving into what I've found after a short run of testing some of the new mechanics firsthand. Keep in mind, this is the first iteration of these features, and things will more than likely change as time goes on. The highlights for this patch are the new weight and fatigue system, the Interchange rework, a new stamina system, new items including attachments, armor, barter items, and grenades, new clothing, new crafting, and new quests. It's a fairly big patch for a mid-wipe update, and rather than try and talk about it all at once, I'll be dividing it up and going over one point at a time in this video. So with that out of the way, let's go over what's new in this patch, starting with the new weight system and fatigue mechanics. First on the list, we have what is likely the most impactful, most controversial, and also most exciting change that Escape from Tarkov has seen in quite a while. A completely reworked weight, encumbrance, fatigue, and stamina system. Before this patch, weight was kind of a non-factor when it came to gameplay. You actually wanted to be overweight to level strength faster, and you could carry hundreds of kilograms without much of an effect on your character. That is now a thing of the past, with a new weight system that gives your character fairly significant debuffs for carrying too much weight that will much more seriously affect you as you play. Some of these debuffs are sort of minor inconveniences, such as your weapon and equipment making more sound as you move. Others will be quite limiting, such as more strict movement speed limits as you pick up more items, and penalties to stamina use and recovery. There's also been a significant rework to the stamina system in general, dividing stamina into two bars, one for aiming and one for sprinting. This means you can now sprint and then stop to aim more effectively, but if you empty one bar, it starts taking from the other, so you'll have to manage it more effectively. On top of this, there's a new mechanic called fatigue, which activates if you continually sprint, jump, and aim while your stamina is hovering around the empty mark. If you're fatigued, you will get additional debuffs such as increased energy consumption, meaning you'll need to eat more during the raid. I did a quick little test of these mechanics by taking an item case into an offline raid and messing with how much weight I was carrying, and here's what I've found so far. At base strength, you seem to have no weight penalties until you hit around 25 kilograms carried, when the first weight penalty comes into play. This one seems very minor, draining stamina slightly faster and slowing walking speed slightly. From 30 to 50 kilograms, the weight penalty seemed to stay about the same, but I wasn't able to tell if it was linear and increased per kilogram carried. As you go up in weight, especially over 40 kilograms and up to around 60 kilograms, your character's movement speed is slowed again, your jump height is reduced, fall damage is increased, and you need to build momentum for a second after you press sprint before your character starts to run. Walking also drains stamina when you're carrying around 50 to 60 kilograms or more, which is a pretty big change. Next, as you approach 70 kilograms of weight, your character gets the critical overweight debuff, which is a much more significant penalty. You move like you have broken legs, walking drains stamina, crawling drains stamina, and crouching prevents you from regaining stamina. Essentially, this is the game telling you that you need to drop something. Some of these are fairly significant penalties, but keep in mind I had an items case full of stuff and I was only at 80 kilograms, and some of the weight numbers have been changed as well, so it will take some time to figure out how much this is going to affect the average raid when you might not be picking up 120 pounds or more of items. These limits will also change as your strength skill goes up, and both your strength and endurance has been reset with this patch, so as we all level up our strength, I'm sure we'll see a little bit of a change in these numbers. I'll be covering this all in more detail in the near future, with a video dedicated specifically to the ins and outs of the new weight system. I think this is hopefully going to add a new layer of depth and thought to loadouts and looting. Some people are just going to complain about it, but personally, I'm optimistic that we'll see new playstyles and optimal loadouts, and I for one am really excited to start theory crafting the best high-speed loadouts for the new weight system. Next up for the 12.4 update, we have a very exciting rework to the Interchange map, adding quite a bit of fine-tuning and some very cool new features that should make it much more exciting. The first thing you'll most likely notice is that the lighting has been completely reworked all around the map, making it less hazy and dusty and cutting down some of the weird fog of war that lingered at the edge of your sightlines on this map. This is huge because Interchange had noticeably weird lighting compared to other maps, and it both makes it look cooler and makes it easier to play on. I'm just going to let a few clips roll showing some key locations on the map as I walk around, and you should be able to spot the new lighting if you're familiar with it. It's not a super dramatic change, but as someone who plays a lot of Interchange, I immediately recognize there's a lot of new light sources, and the lighting in general has been smoothed out and made more even. On top of a general lighting rework for the map, players now also have a way to dynamically alter the lighting and much more on the map with a new switch you can interact with at the power station. I'm not totally sure what all turns on when you hit this, but most importantly, the power switch activates alarms in several stores in the mall, which in theory will spawn scav raiders. You also need to hit the power switch in order to unlock the Kiba store, which also has an alarm. This is a pretty huge change and will definitely alter the flow of the map a bit. The power also has to be activated to open one of the new extractions, the safe room, which I haven't been able to find yet. Of course, if you trespass into Kiba and set the alarm off, Killa is not going to be pleased. It is his store after all. He'll aggressively close in on you and make you regret trying to steal his loot after the alarm has been set off, and I think this is a super cool mechanic if it works well. The two new extracts I could find are the hole in the fence and the scav camp. The hole in the fence is located up the road from the power station towards the Emercom checkpoint, and you can't take a backpack through this one. The scav camp is near the tents on the road by the railway extract, and you need to team up with a friendly scav in order to take this one. Just like the weight system, expect a video from me covering these changes in detail very soon. Before getting into the new items, I want to mention a great UI improvement that has been made in this patch, adding tabs to the bottom of the screen to access the character, stash, traders, and flea market screens on the fly. This small change is going to save absolutely enormous amounts of time clicking back and forth between these screens. There's not too much to say, it's just a very nice quality of life addition, and all of us are thankful for it, I'm sure. A more controversial change is that the flea market now cannot be accessed until level 10, and originally they were going to put this at level 15, but then changed it. This is kind of an awkward time to gauge how much this will affect things, since most players are past level 10 at this point, but this is going to significantly change the early game flow. Personally, I prefer to remain optimistic and hope this change will make the early game more interesting, since you can't just trade money for XP and buy out quests to level 30 immediately. With the addition of more early hideout crafting recipes as well, it's actually quite possible to craft yourself through a lot of quests, so I think that will go a long way towards counteracting this change. Honestly though, only time will tell, so it's hard to say at this point. Of course, a Tarkov content patch wouldn't be complete without new items, attachments, and gear for loot-hungry PMCs. This patch has new items in pretty much every category, and I'm sure I might be missing some, but I'll quickly go over the highlights of what I've seen so far. There's a ton of new barter items and general loot, some of which is involved in crafting, which I'll cover in a separate video once I have time to find it all and sort through it. Of course, there's also the grenade case, a much requested item to store grenades in the stash. For new items from the traders, I'll start with Proper. At level 3, he now sells the modern SVD handguard, and at level 4, he sells the modern SVD rail. Most of the new weapon mods that I could find are for the SVD, and these in particular have a pretty cool modernized look to them. Skier level 3 now sells the DTK Mark II 7.62x39 suppressor, which has got some pretty decent stats, but honestly is way overpriced at 55,000 rubles in my opinion. Mechanic sells the VOG-17 grenade at level 1, trading for 1 grenade pin. I believe this is sort of a mini frag grenade, and a VOG-25 version was mentioned, but I couldn't find it at any traders. At level 2 Mechanic, you can get some more SVD attachments, the CAA XD RGL rail, the CAA DRG mount, and the CAA XRS DRG handguard. Again, another set of attachments for the SVD. At Mechanic level 3, you can get the CNC Warrior 556 AK adapter, which lets you attach modern suppressors like the Wave or KAC onto the AK-101 and AK-102. This is a pretty cool attachment and could make the 556 AKs way more useful. Next up, Ragman has quite a selection of new items, some of which are likely going to be the new top tier items in their category. First, at level 1, he sells the Bank Robber rig for about 8,000 rubles. This has 4 mag slots and no extra pockets, so definitely an early game item. At level 3, Ragman has a very interesting new backpack, the LBT 2670 Medical Pack. This has a steep trade of 4 fleece, 4 aramid, 1 paracord, and 5 duffel bags, but it looks extremely slim, has a ton of carrying space, no movement penalties, and is extremely lightweight. So with the new weight system, this might just be the new best in slot backpack, if you can afford the trade. At level 4, Ragman has 2 amazing new armor options available. First is the Slick Plate Carrier, which trades for 1 Trooper Vest and 3 Cordura fabric. This armor is class 6, is made of steel, covers the thorax with 80 durability, and has amazing mobility stats for a class 6 vest. Because it's made of steel, it will have a very expensive repair, but it's also very durable and will repair very well, making this officially the highest level of thorax protection in the game, since other class 6 options are made of ceramic or combined materials and break very fast by comparison. I expect this to be the new meta armor for super rich players who actually want to survive AP rounds to the chest. Next up, the CPC Mod 2 Plate Carrier is also available at Ragman level 4, trading for 3 Cordura, 3 Aramid, and 3 Ripstop fabrics. This armored rig is class 5, covers the thorax, has 60 durability points, is made of polyethylene, and has a really good rig layout for both looting and mag storage. Essentially, this rig is a slightly improved TacTech with more durability, better storage, and similar mobility. Again, I expect this to be in the top tier circulation, so long as it isn't too hard to find the fabric. There's also a new helmet, the MSA Galley High Cut, and a new headset, the Walker Razor digital headset, but I could only find those on the flea market. That's all I could find on my first pass through the traders, though I wouldn't be surprised if there's some other stuff I missed, don't have unlocked, or that is find in raid only. I'll be sure to go over anything I missed in a future video. Another cool addition is a shirt and pants for both factions, and it's nice to see them continually adding new cosmetics. The remainder of the patch notes are mostly bug fixes, a lot of which are aimed at fixing freezes and crashes in the menu and hideout. If you want a detailed list of these fixes, I'll be linking the patch notes in the video description and you can check it out yourself. Well, that about covers it for this video going over the 12.4 patch. I hope after watching you have a pretty good feel for what has been changed and what has been added. I'm pretty excited to dive into the weight mechanics more deeply, as well as the interchange map rework. Expect videos from me very soon going into more detail on both of those. I'll be streaming more Escape from Tarkov on Twitch at twitch.tv/jdogthewise, and it'd be great to have you drop by, so I'll leave a link for that down below. Thanks for checking out the video. As always, feel free to leave any comments, corrections, or suggestions down below, and until next time, stay safe in Tarkov City.